to the sea. All right. All right. Righty. Things are just moving really slowly for me, so I hope y'all are fine. Well, we are live on YouTube right now. So welcome everybody for our Saturday morning live group. And make sure I do this and that and that and this. We do it all. All right, there we go. So welcome everyone. Welcome Iris. Iris here. Look and see. I expect she's here.
Good morning, Lynn.
Iris, would you like to pray us in, my dear?
Yes, I will press in. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen.
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 Iris. Let's see. So I should get my stuff together. Here we go. We're going to share the screen and oh gosh, I didn't even save Carrie from yesterday, so I got to do that. All right. All right, and we are in. No, not that book. We'll get it though. Here we go. We're in chapter 15, Holy Instant. I believe we're in section 4 still, practicing the Holy Instant. And am I correct? In which paragraph are we on?
Hi, Lynn. No, we're way behind.
Oh, okay.
we're in chapter 4.
Oh,
Chapter 4.
that's another group.
Yeah.
Oh my
Chapter
gosh.
4.
That's the Tuesday group. We're in chapter 15. Oh, please, just because I'm this makes more sense. How about that? Are we in This Need Not Be?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's where we are. Yeah.
We're way behind. All right. So, and we are okay. That's why I couldn't find the paragraph. I was like, I remember this from last week. What paragraph were we on?
Yeah, we're exactly near there. We're on paragraph 8.
There we go. That's what I thought. Have you
Yeah.
ever considered? Okay. Yay, we did it. Who would like to read paragraph 8? All right, I will read paragraph 8. Oh, Rafi you have your hand up or you just your picture?
Oh, I thought I was going to read. I was just having trouble hitting the right buttons.
Oh, well, then join the crowd
Glad
because
to
it's
read
been
it.
all morning. All right,
Glad
good.
to read it. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many of them you have refused? Never one. There's no limit to the power of a son of God, but he can limit the expression of his power as much as he chooses. Your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. Do not settle for anything less than this, and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. Watch your mind carefully for any beliefs that hinder its accomplishment and step away from them. Judge how well you have done this by your own feelings, for this is the one right use of judgment. Judgment, like any other defense, can be used to attack or protect, to hurt or to heal. The ego should be brought to judgment and found wanting there. The ego should be brought to judgment and found wanting there. Without your own allegiance, protection, and love, the ego cannot exist. Let it be judged truly, and you must withdraw allegiance, protection, and love from it. There's a part of this that kind of throws me a little bit, and that's that last sentence. Let it be judged truly, and you must withdraw allegiance, protection, and love from it. If the ego is our enemy, and Jesus said, love your enemies, then I got a problem with this last part, those last 5 words. Because I always do the same thing. I said, I love my body, I love the body, I love the mind, I love the ego, and I love myself.
So you're going to do whatever the ego tells you, or
No,
you're
I'm gonna infuse everything with the love that I am.
right. But that's not the ego. The ego can't be infused with love because the ego doesn't know what love is. It doesn't know love at all.
But love is the only reality.
Right. So the ego's not real. So why would you give it any attention at all?
Because to um come in what's the word? To be opposed to it is to strengthen it.
Right. But not to be opposed to it, just don't give any allegiance to it.
Oh, I got it. No, 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 and that's the part that I just came to awareness of. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I knew that. I had no doubt. But you're right. There's nothing. We love everything because just like you love the picture that your child drew of you, and you put it up on the refrigerator, and it looks like you never combed your hair, and you and you gained 100 pounds, but you still love it because your child drew it, but it doesn't really reflect how you see yourself. So yeah, so and let's see, and Bob says, I think Jesus was speaking of our perceived earthly enemies, those with whom we disagree. And that is also true. That this disagreement that we have with each other, this decision that we have made to disagree, that has become just such a motivator for people in the world. And we've seen it ourselves in this group. Not recently, thank God for that, because things have really we've grown in our intention and grown in our allegiance to the Holy Spirit. But believe it or not, there was a time when there were people who are in this group, who have been in terrible arguments about politics, to the point of blocking each other, and I mean, it's been bad. Or I call it bad. I don't know, bad or good, but it has been a lot of conflict that were caused because I'm right and you're not. And so this whole idea that here in a group of people that have here come for the sole purpose of joining in love, and to let the things of the world come to a place where we've actually argued with each other to the point of blocking each other, that's pretty sad. And I mean, it's not, this need not be. This need not be. So, Iris, please go ahead.
Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Rafi. Good morning, everyone. And yeah, I actually really love uh, this part that says there is no limit to the power of a son of God, but he can limit the expression of his power as much as he chooses. Your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. Do not settle for anything less than this, and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. I really love that. I really love this paragraph. But like I was looking at the last sentence, and like I can see it from like another way, from because what happens to me is just on a really simple level is when there are a ton of thoughts, like I get like for example, when I wake up in the morning, I have a ton of thoughts in my mind, or at the end of the day I have a ton of thoughts, like all different ones that I can't even put a name to it, all different thoughts. And before, I used to be feeling that where I'm beginning to feel like there was conflict just in myself, in that there was this conflict that I need to quieten them down. They shouldn't be here. My mind should be peaceful. I don't know where these thoughts are coming from. And there was this like fighting with the thoughts, and that didn't work. And I did that for a very long time. That did not work. And then just a couple of days ago, I realized that it's fine. I mean, I can welcome them, just like Rafi says, I can welcome them. I don't need to be in conflict with them. So I just sat in the morning, for a few minutes, and I just sat and I just allowed them to be. And I just kind of allowed them to be, and kind of like a bit like letting go, like allow them to be and let them go past, and don't serve them tea. And then I realized that it's fine. They just kind of want to be acknowledged in a way, and then let them just go by like they're not important. They're just thoughts, and they're really not important. And I just felt peace. And it wasn't like a peace that I created, it was that the peace was there. It already is there, that peace. And so that is what this paragraph is kind of reminding me of, that it's saying that like that part where your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. And do not settle for anything less than this, and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. So, it's kind of like, to me, it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's like, I guess I'm trying to remind myself not to fight with the thoughts that happen. And then I did that again today, and I think that's like, just sit with them and just allow them to go by, because those thoughts are not us. That's not who we are. That's Those thoughts are like conditioning, or like they're coming from the person, and that's not what we are. And because we are not people, we are the Christ consciousness. So really, those thoughts are temporary, and that's not what we are. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Iris. And Thank you for digging through that so well. That's beautiful the way that you reached through there and dug through that, and you're reminding me of today's lesson. The peace of God. That's the only thing that's worth anything or have any value at all. So whatever it is that brings that about, it's just such a gift. And so thank you, Iris, for that. Karen, please go ahead.
Thanks, Iris. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Rafi. Wow, this is such a perfect paragraph. Um, and could you mind if I read it again, Lynn?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I had muted my mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think this paragraph is so powerful. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many of them you have refused? There is no limit to the power of a son of God, but he can limit the expression of his power as much as he chooses. Your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. Do not settle for anything less than this and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. Watch your mind carefully for any beliefs that hinder its accomplishment and step away from them. Judge how well you have done by your own feelings, for this is the one right use of judgment. Judgment, like any other defense, can be used to attack or protect, to hurt or to heal. The ego should be brought to judgment and found wanting there. Without your own allegiance, protection, and love, the ego cannot exist. Let it be judged truly, and you must withdraw allegiance, protection, and love from it. This is this is so perfect for me. This morning, I shop with my uncle every Saturday, and like I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I never liked shopping on Saturdays because I had a commitment to another group on Saturdays that I used to say Saturdays aren't good for me. Saturdays aren't good for me. And today was one of those days that Saturday wasn't good for me. And I noticed how I allowed everything. Once you allow that ego in, it will hit you from every way. Everything was a problem. Everything was a struggle. Everything was resistance. So I felt it, I noticed it, and I recognized that I was making a decision. I was deciding to be pissed. I was deciding to be resistant to um, the moment. And just by getting in my walking down the hall, the way I was walking, I noticed it in my walk. I noticed it when I got in the before I even got into the elevator. I pushed the button really hard, like out of anger, like I don't even want to go. Why am I even? It was like I saw what I was doing. My neighbor was next to me, and he's very nice, and we're always friendly. And I didn't even talk to him. I just didn't even want to talk to him. It's like, and it was a decision. Every single moment I made a decision to be angry, and I knew it. And I would have rather have been right than happy in every single one of those moments. And I continued it when I got into the car with my uncle until I finally I was able to say, listen, I got to go for a walk before we leave. I just got to get release this stress. I'm so stressed out right now. And I did, and I felt much, much better because I allowed all these thoughts that Iris was talking about, all those thoughts, I didn't fight myself. I let them come. I looked at them. I let them go. They were all there to be healed. They were all made up. They were not true. I was allowing the ego to get the best of me. And this is an opportunity. Like, how many opportunities have you had to gladden yourself, and how many of them have you refused? And this reminds me of the previous page where he says that remember that you are deprived of nothing except by your own decisions, and then decide otherwise. So I stayed in hell for about 15 good minutes, literally. And then I decided otherwise after I got my good ego fix. It's like, I want to be right, but I'm pissed and I don't like the way I feel, but I don't care. It's like, it was insanity. And
Uh,
I'm so good now. I'm so good right now. I'm feeling at peace. I'm feeling good. But like, this need not be. This need not be. I did not need to do that. And the power, there's no limit to the power of the Son of God, but he can limit the expressions of his power as much as he chooses. That is the power of decision. We have a choice in every single moment. Which teacher am I going to listen to? And yesterday's lesson said the body is a limit. The body is a limit, but there is no limit to the power of a Son of God. So I am so grateful to be here on this paragraph because it's an example of what the hell happens when we listen to this thing that Rafi talks about. It's a thing, it's not real. And when we allow it to control us, it's an insane situation that need not be. So I'm happy now and I'm grateful to be here. Thanks.
oh man, what a turnaround. Thank you, Karen. And yes, absolutely. That's why when he says, you know, if you want to know, what's going on in your mind, how do you feel? Because that's, when he says, um, judge how well you have done this by your own feelings. For this is the one right use of judgment. The right use of judgment is to look at your feelings and decide, just, what am I feeling here? And if I'm holding a grievance, I'm going to be angry. If I'm in fear, I'm going to be in fear. I'm going to have reactions and actions are going to follow because I've let my mind run away with a story. But when I am actually able to just look at it and recognize that I've chose this, but I can choose otherwise. And I know your and my favorite part of the Course in Miracles when it comes to this is from chapter 5, section 5, the decision for God, where he says, look at how you feel and ask yourself, what's going on here. Do I really think that I could undo what God made or make a different world, or do I really think that my opinion has any merit in the what should or shouldn't be happening? I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. And that's the point of it. He says it's because you've reacted with a lack of love to one of God's creations. Of course, that's coming up in chapter 5. We'll get there. But that's what it is. I'm reacting with a lack of love to one of God's creations. That could be me, that could be you, that could be anything. But it is a decision on my part. Karen, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. And that's that one sentence that I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. I love the way the Course brings the awareness back to the mind and helps us recognize this is always a decision. And he also tells us here in this section that we're reading on the previous page that until you change your mind about those whom your ego has hurt, the atonement cannot release you. While you feel guilty, your ego is in command because only the ego can experience guilt. This need not be. Watch your mind for the temptation of the ego and do not be deceived by it. So he's telling us, do not be deceived. And here he's telling us, do not settle. Do not settle for anything less than this and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. So I love how he puts us in check and he's telling us that do not settle, do not deceive yourself. So I love this because we do have that power of decision And the good news for me is that I recognize every decision I make today. I really recognize it. And I understand that this need not be today. I stayed in there a little longer than I really had to, but that's okay too. These things happen. Thanks.
Well, I don't think you stayed longer than you had to, because once you figured it out, you got out. I mean, you ever run the bath and the water's too hot and you put your foot in there? How long do you keep, do you step in there? No. I'm going to keep my foot in here and see if it cools off. No. I think that's a pretty common experience. Rafi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm always looking for indications or examples of how making a choice that is not egoic is serving. Here's an example. I graduated high school in 1958 with Dove. He was in my class. And it's 67 years later, and we're still all in touch. Those of us who are still alive in our bodies are still in touch. Now, many of us have one set of political beliefs, and many of us have completely the opposite set of political beliefs. But when we get together, that never comes up. That's our choice, because being together is more important than what we believe politically. And somewhere along the line, we all had to make that choice. Now, some of us in that class are on a spiritual path like Dove and I, and others aren't. It never comes up. All we want to do is be together. That's another choice. When did we all make that choice? I have no idea. Was it made for us? Sure, it was made for us. But we went with it instead of egoically fighting with it. And as soon as you surrender to what's real, then that ego thing has to step aside, because it can't compete with the power of being, because it isn't a real thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rafi. And wow, exactly. It's just a decision. And thank God we have chosen and continue to choose. Um, and we join together to reaffirm that with each other as well. So, any other comments on paragraph 8 before we move to paragraph 9? Who would like to read paragraph 9? All right, Iris. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Yes. Paragraph 9. You are a mirror of truth, in which God Himself shines in perfect light. To the ego's dark glass, you need but say, I will not look there, because I know these images are not true. Then let the Holy One shine on you in peace, knowing that this and only this must be. His mind shone on you in your creation and brought your mind into being. His mind still shines on you and must shine through you. Your ego cannot prevent him from shining on you, but it can prevent you from letting him shine through you. Yeah. So this is exactly, actually, just before I raised my hand, I was just thinking that and then I read it in this paragraph, and like these thoughts are images I have made. And like the fact that it's saying that these images are not true, and like this bit is really important because like it does take a while, I think. Like, I mean, it's not that we're doing it on purpose, quote. We're not. We're not like believing these thoughts, quote, on purpose just because we want to, you know? Like, it's like they deceive us. Like in the previous paragraph that Karen was reading, it said like something like, do not let them deceive you, do not let it deceive you. And it's like, it's true, because in my case, like, I do get deceived by these thoughts, you know, and I do get deceived. But like, since the last couple of days, I'm looking at them, and I'm just sitting and I'm looking and letting them pass. And I think it's like about like just slowly unbelieving these thoughts, like not believing them, because like, and this thing about like these thoughts are not real. And I know, like, plenty of times I've been told that these thoughts are not my thoughts, like they're not really my thoughts. And I mean, that is really making sense, because like, if we think about it sometimes, like I do think about this sometimes, like uh I mean, you know, the person, me, and the thoughts belong to the person, I, me. And I mean, mind, person, thoughts, this is ego. This is the ego that we have made, like, and so the person is not me. And when like, we just drop it for 2 seconds, like just for a couple of seconds, like, it just kind of, we just realize I'm actually not these thoughts, really, and they are really not my thoughts, and they are not true, meaning that they are not really the thoughts of I am. They I mean, these thoughts are created thoughts, and they are really have got nothing to do with I, what I am, I, capital I am. And like, I mean, and without like these thoughts, there is no problem. I can have any kind of problem, like, quote, and then when I do come to my senses, like, I do realize, like, even if it's very dimly, that really these problems, these thoughts are really like the made up iris conditioning, and they really have nothing to do with the truth. They're just complete nonsense. And you know that they're nonsense. Like, I know they're nonsense because they change so quickly and they don't stay there. Like, they just change all the time. And like, and so when it's saying here that to the ego's dark glass you need but say, I will not look there because these images are not true. I think it does take a little bit to like even begin to, like, I know for me it's taken ages, like, to even begin to like get a little bit of a perspective on what this even actually means. And so like, I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Iris. Yes, thank you. That's so beautiful. And you know, the ego's dark glass, that's what I call my television now. I think I'm going to turn on the ego's dark glass now. uh, but it is all about, and you made me think about that Beatles song, I Me Mine. All through the day, I Me Mine, I Me Mine, I Me Mine. That's, oh my gosh. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Iris. And yeah, I love what you just shared. That the thoughts belong to the person and the person is not me. And this actually always takes me to lesson 10, which is my thoughts do not mean anything. And this is where he says they are not your real thoughts. And there's a quote by Ken that reminded me of what you said. Ken Wapnick says, there is a thought in my mind that is projecting pain, but I am not that thought. I am not a body. So I am not that person. I am not a person. These thoughts belong to that person, and I don't need to identify. And then another quote by Keith. Keith says, awakening is awakening from identification with thoughts. So it's these thoughts that you're talking about, these thoughts that don't mean anything. So when I see when the course says, I will not look there because I know these images are not true. I think for me that's like a two-edged sword in a way because we I need to look at them. We need to look at them a lot of times before we can heal them, but we don't stay there. And I was just talking about that with a couple friends. I'm doing well, you'll see, but I'm doing, I'm not even going to say, but anyway, these two friends, we were talking about Ken Wapnick, and, the one friend said, I don't want to be negative, but, Ken can be really negative sometimes, and I just can't listen to him for long because it's always like he gets too deep and dark and into the ego, and she said, there, you just have to you have to, how did she word it? She said, you don't stay there. And I agree with her. And I think that that's why some people may be turned off to Ken, but Ken does get you through it, but he doesn't skip steps. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I will look there because I know these images are not true, but I won't stay there. As Iris was saying, we look at them, but we heal them and we move on. So I think there's a fine line there. I think some people, like this friend of mine, just was turned off by it, but I don't think that Ken means that in a negative way. I think he's just trying to help us to look because it's not easy to look. As I think Robert shared in the chat, he shared, I can't see the whole chat, but letting go of our need to be right is extremely painful, Robert wrote. And looking at the ego can be extremely painful as well. Looking at those thoughts and looking at why am I even feeling a need to be right? So I don't know if I'm making any sense. I know I'm making sense to me, but I think that it's those thoughts. That's all it is. And they're just a thought and they're not the truth. So thanks, Iris.
Wow, thank you, Karen. And so very, very clear, all of that. And so, the one thing that I wanted to kind of step back on a little bit was that, we see the darkness, we look at it, and we heal it, and then we can let it go. But what does healing it? What do we mean by healing it? Because how do I heal it unless I look at it and decide that I don't want it anymore? If I look at it and look at all the aspects of it, you have to look at, why am I holding on to this? Why is this in my mind again? Why am I thinking about this again? I'm thinking about this again because I haven't healed it. How do I heal it? I have to look at it in all its aspects and ask myself, why do I want to keep it? Because the only reason it's still there is because I'm holding on to it. There's no thought forcing itself on us. There's nothing trying to make me be something, do something, think something. No, I'm deciding about all of them. So if I decide I don't want this thought anymore, which, I don't want this thought of conflict over politics anymore. I don't want this thought of conflict over politics. Okay. So why would I turn on the dark glass and look for the news. Because I know when I turn on the dark glass and look for the news, I'm going to see things that are going to reinforce my belief that I should be involved with politics because I haven't let go of my desire to be in control. And somehow or the other, I look at that dark glass and I say, "Who everything's out of control. I need to control it." So why do I keep doing that? And I'll tell you, I have not turned this thing on. I do have a television in this room. I haven't turned it on I mean, I'll turn it on for a couple of seconds and, say, "Oh, nothing on," and turn it right off. There have been times that I spent my entire day watching MSNBC to see what travesty was being introduced into the world. And it was the decision, I don't want to see that anymore. It's not that I don't care about what's happening in the world. It's just not my business. My business is to allow the Holy Spirit to do what Jesus does, do their plan. My business, what help am I by sitting over here getting angry about things? I'm only adding to the problem because my energy is going into that, if you want to look at it that way too. So yes, Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you for that, Lynn. And you made me think of lesson 5 and lesson 34. Lesson 5, I am never upset for the reason I think. And lesson 34, I could see peace instead of this. So I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm not upset because, my uncle wants me to shop with him on Saturday. I'm upset because I'm making a decision to be upset. And there's a place in the course where he says all anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty, and this attempt is the only basis the ego accepts for special relationships. That's somewhere in chapter 15. It's in the special relationship section. And so what you said was really important. Like, why am I holding on to this? Why am I listening to this ego thought? Because I want to make someone guilty, because it's your fault that I'm angry because you want to shop on Saturdays, right? So, but the interesting thing about this was when I got out there with my uncle and started talking with him, I said, you know what? I know that I'm making a decision right now to be angry. I am making a decision and I am staying with it right now because I want to be angry right now. Let me be angry. And he was so cool. My uncle's so freaking cool. He's like my greatest teacher. And I've always said he's my spiritual practice. My whole spiritual practice really revolves around him a lot of times, but he lets me be what I need to be. And I needed to be angry at the time. And I just had to get it out. And so I got it out, but I knew what I was doing. This wasn't blind. This wasn't deceiving. This is something that sometimes processing can be messy. But noticing that it is a decision is everything, that we are responsible. I am responsible. And guilt, he also says, is a grim refusal to forgive. So it's that guilt. I want to make someone guilty and I don't want to forgive. And it all comes back to what Lynn said, healing it. How do I heal it? I give it to the Holy Spirit. Help me see this differently. I'm ready to let this go because this need not be. As Rafi said, it doesn't serve. In the long run, it doesn't serve. And those gaps get shorter and shorter. And this doesn't happen often. But when it happens, it happens. And I can't blame it on the full moon anymore because I don't think we have a full moon anymore. So thanks.
Oh, I love that. That's hilarious and so perfectly beautiful too, Karen. I love your process, and I mean, if and thank you for looking at it rather than just saying, "Well, that happened," and just going on. Thank you for looking at it because not only is it healing you, it's healing the world. One mind healed in that way healed thousands. Takes thousands of years off our sentence here. So yeah, thank you. Rafi, please go ahead.
Well, you just said it, Len. She was watching those feelings. She was watching herself be angry. She was the watcher. She wasn't the feelings. You weren't the feelings. And that's the power right there. You may not have realized that what was going on, but the fact of the matter is that decision to watch those feelings and let yourself, well, okay, I'm being angry now. Who's being angry? The one you were watching, not you. Very powerful. Thank you, Lynn. That was right on the money.
All right. Thanks, you guys both so very much. Yeah, I love that little cheer box cheer thing there. Does anybody else have any comments on paragraph 9? How's about we move on to paragraph 10 and let's see who wants to read. Okay, did I get it all on here? Yeah. Anybody want to read? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Bueller? Okay, I'll read. The first coming of Christ is merely another name for the creation, for Christ is the Son of God. The second coming of Christ means nothing more than the end of the ego's rule and the healing of the mind. I was created like you in the first, and I have called you to join with me in the second. I am in charge of the second coming, and my judgment, which is used only for protection, cannot be wrong because it never attacks. Yours may be so distorted that you believe I was mistaken in choosing you. I don't know anybody here who resembles that remark. Oh, Jesus, you made a mistake. Do not mistake it for humility. Your ego is trying to convince you that it is real and I am not. Because if I am real, I am no more real than you are. That knowledge, and I assure you that it is knowledge, means that Christ has come into your mind and healed it. So the first coming of Christ was when we were created. That's it. Christ came, boom, here we are, the Holy Son of God, Christ, yes. And then a little part of our mind went off and kind of forgot what we were and what was going on, joined up with this thing called the ego and built the world. So the second coming of Christ means nothing more than the end of the ego's rule and the healing of the mind. And that's what we're talking about, Karen, with your anger, that the second coming of Christ came right up into you, boom, oh, I can see peace instead of this. That's the second coming. That's the resurrection. That's what we are. We are the resurrection. We are the resurrected ones. So Jesus was created in the first just as we were. And now he wants us to join us in this incarnation, in this resurrection. So very important, I'm in charge of the second coming, and my judgment, which is used only for protection, cannot be wrong because it never attacks. Only protection and never attack. So, that's something that we really have to look at for ourselves when we're deciding what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. And even in nonviolent communication, attack is never, ever justified. But you can have preventive protection. There are ways that you can go about protecting someone if they appear to be in trouble without attacking someone else. So, and that's the role of the peacemaker. That's what it's all about, is to bring us into alignment so that it brings about protection and not attack. yours may be so distorted that you believe I was mistaken in choosing you. And that's where I chuckled, and I knew that he was chuckling too. And he says, I assure you, this is a mistake of your ego. And I did not choose your ego. I chose you. Do not mistake it for humility. Your ego is trying to convince you that it is real, and I am not. Because if I am real, I'm no more real than you are. And actually, that's true. Because if Jesus is real, he's just as real as we are. We are real. That knowledge, and I assure you that is knowledge, means that Christ has come into your mind and healed it. So does anybody have any comments on this paragraph? This is okay, let's see what Bob is saying. This is why it's so important to understand the difference between Christ mind and Jesus the personality. Yes, absolutely, because it's the Christ mind that's in all of us. The person, the persona of Jesus was uh, a reflection of the Christ mind. Um, Karen, yes, please go ahead.
Dove, did you have your hand up? Oh, okay. I thought I saw Dove's hand
No,
up.
no.
Okay. Yeah, Lynn, thank you. And thank you, Robert. I love this second coming of Christ. It means nothing more than the end of the ego's rule and the healing of the mind. And that's what we're all doing here. That's why we're here. We're here to remember the truth of what we are. And the second coming in the workbook, part 2, it's question 9. And the first paragraph is actually so beautiful. I'm just going to read the very first paragraph. Christ's second coming, which is sure as God, is merely the correction of mistakes and the return of sanity. It is a part of the condition that restores the never lost and reestablishes what is forever and forever true. It is the invitation to God's word to take illusion's place, the willingness to let forgiveness rest upon all things without exception and without reserve. I mean, that is the healed mind. That is the return of sanity, the correction of mistakes. The invitation to God's word is the invitation to the atonement principle, which is that the separation never happened. The invitation to recognize and remember that we never separated from God, that this is just reminding us of what is forever. It's what restores what was never lost and reestablishes what is forever and forever true. So this is so beautiful because this is what we're talking about here. So it's the willingness to let forgiveness rest upon everything without exception and without reserve. And it's just so beautiful. And I'm so grateful. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And yes, that's what's happening here and now. And Bob, yes, please go ahead. And I was hoping that we'd have a chance for you to test your voice and your mic out. So please go ahead, sir.
I'm going to try to talk this one. What I'm feeling and seeing right now is that the ego would have us take all our mistakes and write them on a blackboard. And Jesus comes along and wipes the slate clean.
Thank you, Bob. That was very beautiful and very clear. Thank you, thank you. Anyone else have anything that they'd like to share?
Yeah, I'll say something. Hi, can I be heard?
Yes.
First of all, I just want to make an announcement. My Verizon internet went completely down, so I have no computer, and I have no TV, and I have no iPhone. You might say, well, what the hell are you on? As it happens, I'm on another network, and I had to go off of the FiOS network, and I'm now on what they call data or something like that. You know, where you're using data to talk. So I just want to mention that. That's why I got in late. In answer to what Robert said here earlier, it's I think his thing it says it's so important to understand the difference between Christ's mind and Jesus, the personality. And I just heard this from Ken Wapner just the other day, so everything happens perfectly. The Jesus of the Course is not the Jesus of the Bible, not a personality. The Jesus of the Course is the same as Holy Spirit. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, yes. Yes, and that's absolutely true too. And yeah, they're probably going to charge you. I don't know how much data you have, but they'll charge you if you go over it. But you can tell them you used it because your
Yeah.
internet was down. So, so yes, the Jesus of the Course, even though he refers to himself in the Course as Jesus the man, and we see him talking about his life as Jesus the man. He's using it because Helen knew about that. That was Helen's interpretation of the being that was speaking to her, and he was using all of that to give her uh, to help her see, help her understand. And it helps me understand too, because, I see Jesus, I'm in love with Jesus too. So I don't see him as a man, but I see him as a being of just of infinite love who, happened to walk the earth in a body and did what he could to help us see the truth. So, um, and he knew we would misunderstand. He knew they misunderstood it all the time. All along, he knew they did not know what he was talking about at all, but he still kept doing it and, changed the world. Literally changed the world. Um, Iris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. I think this has got to be my favorite topic. And like I just had this thought cross my mind that like Jesus Christ consciousness and Christ mind is the same as Holy Spirit, which is the same as us. And then I also thought that, but why not? Jesus can also be a person if he wishes. And then I can also be Jesus as a person. I know it sounds mad, but I just thought about that because, like, I was listening to something where it was saying that it was in the Sedona Method book, and I was just listening to the same chapter. I've listened to it for ages. It's chapter 6, and it's about resistance quote, and it talks about like how when we come into this world quote, like as a like it's using its different words, but as a when we are like a newborn, we come here and we have this this we don't have like tons of ideas in our mind as yet, and like the ideas like that's you and that's me and that's this, and we don't have this all this separation stuff happening as yet, and this stuff is learned. It's like they actually call it like the separation they use a special word, like not a special word, but it just made sense. Like all this separation stuff, it's like learned. It's not innate. It's not like innate in us. And then that is the reason why how we learn judgment. Judgment, like dividing, like we are dividing stuff, like the mom would say, oh, that's you and that's me, that's your name and that's my name, and like just all this division starts from scratch. And but without the judgment, like there would be nothing, like nothing to judge. I don't know, something like that. But I just think it's a really powerful, very powerful topic. It's just fantastic. I love it. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Iris. And yes, it is a very powerful topic. Conditioned, yeah, that's what Karen said. I said programmed, but conditioned, I think, is exactly what it is. And Karen has her hand up, and so does Rafi. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I just what sparked something to me when Iris was talking about, when we're born, at our birth, before we were born, we didn't really know anything. We learned all this stuff, but then what came to me was the first coming of Christ. I know what Lynn said, I agree with it. That's when we were created, but the first coming of Christ was Jesus's birth, right? So that was when Jesus was born. So that's kind of related to what we're talking about a little bit here, I think, too. So it just kind of made me think of that when Iris said that. That's all.
Yeah, well, and actually, it's true. Both of those things can't be true because it can be true. I'm saying, and are true actually, because the first coming of Christ was when God created Christ, is what we are, and the remembrance that He is the Christ is still part of that first coming. Um, because apparently we didn't recognize it at the time. So it took a while for somebody to say, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm this thing too." So I think it's both. But he's saying in this section here that the second coming of Christ is for us, is our remembrance of Christ. So, um, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Karen. Rafi, please go ahead.
What I was just saying, very valuable because all the stuff that we were taught. I'm you, you're me, you're that, you're you, and I'm my name is this, and your name is that. We learn all of this stuff, and then we hold on to this facts. And resistance is when something comes in to oppose that, like we are not separate, we are in fact divine oneness. Resistance, if that's not what I know, and so and fortunately we can just welcome the resistance and love it and just let it go because it's just another feeling. But if you give in to that, then there's going to fight the truth of the reality of our infinite oneness. And the infinite oneness is the only truth, and resistance is just another feeling we're using to hold on to a lot of facts and information and data and information, none of which is true and none of which is what we are. And there a battle royal starts, and then ego comes in and says, I'm going to be the hero, I'm going to rescue you, which is the total opposite of the duality of I'm a victim here. Oh God, oi, please. Can I just welcome all of this and just let it go so I can get to the peace that I really am? Yeah, we have that ability. It's just a decision that we make. Let's get with it. And of course, that's what we're doing here. Thank you.
Let's get with it. That's right. Thank you, Rafi. Couldn't have said it better. Dove, please go ahead.
Okay, it just came to me as Rafi used the word welcome. Lisa used the word welcome on Tuesday night, which we all heard. And it came to me that acceptance is identical to welcome. Acceptance is the same as welcome. And I know that Ken says acceptance is the most important word in A Course in Miracles. So you're welcoming it. You're not resisting it. But you're accepting it. You're accepting it. So what is it you can't accept if you knew that everything that happens, right? Lesson 135, paragraph 18. The other thing is, Robert, I apologize. I said Bill. I guess I'm a little rattled from my experience this morning. So I meant Robert. Yeah, actually, Helen, she never used the word Jesus. She used the word the voice. And yeah, Jesus is like Holy Spirit. So and Jesus is the same as us. I like to, like in Spanish, there's not a hard J, so it's he's us, he's us. Jesus, he's us. Thanks.
Thank you, Dove. Jesus. There's Regis. Hi, buddy. Good to see you as well. Uh, does anybody else have anything that they would like to share? Um, yeah, je suis, Jesus. Uh, let's see. No hands up. So, well, thanks you guys for hanging out with us this morning. I'm so grateful for everyone who's chosen to be here. And I love you all. I am too. I'm learning to speak Spanish. So very slowly doing the Duolingo, which is like 15 minutes a day. But that's, you know what, I think it's working. So I'm starting to understand it, which is not really, but a little bit. I understand what they're saying on the app anyway. Doesn't mean I understand it if someone was speaking it to me. I'd be like, can you please slow down? All right. So just to let you guys know that, yeah, Bob is going to start a program. We're trying to aim for maybe Monday. And I'm thinking maybe Monday after Wayne and I do the impersonal life, because then there'll be some folks in the room. Monday, we really don't have a lot of people on Pal Talk or on Zoom, because most everybody is on Pal Talk. So, in fact, Wayne and I are the only ones who do Zoom on Monday. But I think, if we, figure out a time that would be good for Bob, he's going to come and we're going to read his essays, just like we did with Mandy's poems. So he's he's going to be replacing Mandy. Well, at some point, I'm not sure what time, because he's on Pacific time. But anyway, we'll figure that out. Just letting you know that that's coming up, and I'll let you all know when that's figured out. All right, you guys, I love you all. Have a great weekend.